So the way a spring scale works is when you pull on the hook, you can see that the spring inside compresses, and you can measure the amount of compression of that spring. And that's going to tell you how much force you're pulling with on that hook. So the way a spring scale works is when you pull on the hook, you can see that the spring inside compresses, and you can measure the amount of compression of that spring. And that's going to tell you how much force you're pulling with on that hook. When you measure with the spring scale, you read at the bottom of this green plunger right there. And to start, before you ever measure anything, the bottom of that green plunger must be at the 0 mark. So you need to 0 your spring scale, and you do that by twisting this white plastic piece at the bottom. And you need to move that, twist it enough so that the bottom of the green plunger resides just at the 0 mark right there. And now it's zeroed and ready to use. And so that when you pull on the hook, or alternately, you can push on this plunger up here, and you can then record how much force is being generated by reading on the scale. And that is how a spring scale works. All right, here's the equipment that we need for today's short activity. We're going to need some spring scales, and then we need something that has a lot of mass to it. So we just created this box that has a bunch of masses on the inside. So let me take the cover off and I'll show you what's on the inside. Please take the cover off. So it's just filled with a bunch of masses, just to make it heavy. All right, let's put the cover back on. So we're going to do the activities that are listed. Well, currently the page number is 111. But the first activity says, take a box and a spring scale. What you have to do to the box with the scale in order to get a reading on the scale. So let's see what happens if we hook the scale onto the string and now make the box move. Do you get a reading on the scale? Let's see. You do. There's something else you can do to the box with the spring scale to also get a reading on the scale. Yeah, let's see. You're also getting a reading that way. What are you doing to the box? All right, so for our second activity, it says, make the box move by fixing a number on the scale. Describe the kind of motion you observe. So this time, we're going to make the spring scale have a constant number on it. So let's see. All right, seems to be constant. Let me pull back so you can see the motion. Go. All right, our next activity says use two scales. Use them on the box on the same side. What do you observe? How does this compare to number 2? So let's first refresh our memories. When we just pulled it a moment ago with one scale, what was the reading on our scale? So when we used one scale to pull, we were getting a reading of about 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each scale. We want to see what each one is reading. Are they reading the same? Are they reading something different? Are they each reading 8 like they were before, or are they reading something different? So it looks like each one is reading 4. Number 4 says, use two scales. Use them on opposite sides of the box. Be sure they show numbers, and that should actually say, be sure they show the same number. What do you observe? So here's the setup. Each scale is being pulled, and they should be reading about the same number. Notice what is happening to the box. Is it moving or not? Let me zoom in so that we can read each spring scale. Our last activity, use two scales, use them on opposite sides of the box, but make sure the numbers are different. What do you observe? So we're going to have one scale read high and one scale read low. And what happens? You're going to see the motion here. Go. You can see that the box is moving. So that reads about 8. And that one reads about, what is it, 14, 15? And you can see that it's moving towards the scale that has the higher number.